Hi, I'm Jillian. Welcome to a brand new episode of the Blogger Genius podcast. But before I launch in, I have a question for you. Have you started selling your knowledge and expertise directly to your audience? Or are you still relying on putting ads on your blog and affiliate links to monetize? Because in today's world, that is a risky strategy. You need multiple income streams. And this is where MiloTree Cart comes in. Imagine setting up unlimited memberships, digital downloads, workshops, coaching, and mini courses in less than 5 minutes. I used to say 10 minutes. We just rolled out AI created sales pages. They are magic. Get on a free 20-minute call with me so I can blow your mind and we can talk about your digital product strategy. Go to milotree.com/meet. Get ready to think about your business in a whole new, exciting way.
Welcome to the Blogger Genius podcast, brought to you by MiloTree. Here's your host, Jillian Leslie.
Hey everyone, welcome back to the show. Today, I have my friend Lauren Litt back on the podcast. She is my social media expert. I think this is her third appearance. And I wanted to check in with her since it's the beginning of the year, since ChatGPT has exploded, since Google search is in the process of changing. What is she seeing in social media? And what I really like about what she's saying is that social media is about the social part. It's about the relationships, the community, the connection. And she gives a ton of strategies on how to build real authentic relationships so that your business grows, so that people buy from you, so that you can rise above the noise. We also talk about other platforms besides Instagram, like does Facebook drive traffic again? And what should we be thinking about when it comes to Threads? I think you're going to really like this. So without further ado, here is my interview with Lauren Litt. Lauren, welcome back to the Blogger Genius podcast.
Jillian, I am so thrilled to be back, and I've been looking forward to this conversation.
It's fun because I reached out to you at the beginning of the year and I'm like, we need to touch base because I feel like you keep me up to date on what is happening in social media. And so that's why I was super excited to reach out to you and connect with you. And as you know, and I've shared, I'm doing this experiment on Instagram, and it's partly because of one of our last conversations where you're like, you just got to do it, And I'm like, you know what? Enough. I got to do it. And so I've just been doing reels, 2 reels a day. Doesn't matter. I just show up. Some are better than others, but I'm just kind of flexing that muscle. I'm like working out. And so I want to know where you feel the world is when it comes to social media for online entrepreneurs, for bloggers. Like when you take the temperature of social media right now, what's the temperature?
I think that the temperature of social media, and this is something that I've believed for a very long time, and it's becoming even more and more true, is that your social media is only worth the actual relationships you're building on it. And people need to stop thinking of Instagram or TikTok as the place where you're going to go viral and everything is going to change in your business, because that's not how it works anymore. It is a piece of the larger puzzle, and it is a wonderful place to build community, to actually build real connections with people, because they are social networks. So
That's what I would say. And I shared this in a recent podcast where I'm like, so I've done this for a month and I'm in my second month. I'm doing 2 reels a day. And then I post them on my story, like the end, like very easy what I'm doing. And what I've noticed is my follower count has gone up, but not by a ton. And then it goes up and then it comes down and whatever. But the place where I have gotten the most traction is meeting new people, finding new guests for my podcast. And so there's this social piece, and also, just as I like to call it, putting out my vibe. What do I stand for? What do I think
Yeah.
about when it comes to online business, digital products? Like where it's like a way that I can just show up in small pops, but I don't know, put out my feelings of what works, what people should know. And my challenge is always, how can I do it even shorter?
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay. So a couple things you just said there that I want to respond to. Number one, I would love to get into the back end of your analytics because I bet you anything you are actually behaving properly. Your numbers are probably exactly where they're supposed to be. People, again, have this idea of I'm like, I'm going to get so many new followers. No, most accounts grow between 1% to 3% per month, and that is good and proper because people are going to find you, they're going to follow you, they're going to realize, oh, this wasn't for me and leave, or they're going to realize, no, this is totally for me. I'm in exactly the right place and stay forever. So that's one thing. You also talked about, putting your thoughts out in the world. This is where I think that social media can be kind of a vision board for our lives,
Ooh,
right?
ooh.
Because I had this client a long time ago. She's a director, and we were really talking about, where she wanted to go. She had just landed her first television show, and she was trying to build things out. And so we talked about like, well, where do you want to be? What do you want to be doing in the community? What kinds of projects do you want to be working on? And we created the content that built that life. She wasn't lying about what she was doing, but she was saying like, oh, here's a project that I worked on a while ago. And this is the vision of these Western films that I want to create. And here's me on set. And here's how I want to give back to my community. I want to be sharing what I now know, standing as a director of television, with people just starting out, with women just starting out. So she created this program where she would give feedback for short films. And all of that was done through social, through creating this vision of the life she wanted. So to say, like, oh, I'm going to get on and talk about what I want. Yes, because then people also know who you are and are turned on or turned off by you that much faster. Oh, and there was a third point of something you said, and it'll come to me later. But yeah,
Okay. But what I would
yeah,
say that's interesting is I realize that I have to take my thought of what I'm a thinker. So I'm always noodling on stuff. And I have to figure out how to translate it into like 10 seconds or less. Secondly, though, I have to figure out what the value is that I can then share with somebody else. So it's not just like me cogitating on my own ideas. It's like, hey, like I put out a reel today and I was thinking about email marketing. And all I'm hearing from all of my guests is it is even more important today than ever. And I think about all of the bloggers I've had on my show. And when I've asked them, what is the one thing you wish you had worked on from the beginning that you kind of didn't focus on? Every single one says email marketing, growing
wow,
my list. It is
yeah,
shocking. And I believe it's only more important today than ever. Therefore, I just thought that's interesting. I'm going to do a little 7-second reel where I say, hey, all of the top bloggers I've interviewed on my podcast have all said they wish they'd done this one thing. And I tried to create that hook to go, ooh, what
yes,
is the one thing? And then I said, growing their lists. That's
yeah,
it. And
yeah,
then if you're saying, whoa, you're scrolling through, you see my content, it might remind you, hey, these are people who've gone before me. I want to
hmm.
be like them. And they're saying, hey, if I'd started over, this is what I would focus on. The end.
And the your answer about growing your list, right? It's so unsexy.
Oh,
It's
it's
so
so unsexy.
unfun,
Yeah.
right? Like it's just like, okay, yeah, growing your list. But unfortunately, it is the tried and true plodding along that gets us where we want to go. And it's the same for social media. There is no like flash in the pan answer, special sauce that's going to get you where you want to be. It's you showing up consistently over time, building relationships online. We've talked before about how important those smaller numbers are of having a micro list, of having a couple hundred or a couple thousand followers. There's money there. There are
Mm.
people who want to, download your recipe list or work with you on social media or whatever it is that you do. There are actual followers in there. And if you have a small business, you don't need 10,000 sales. You need 10.
And who
So
will buy from you again and again.
yes. Yes, creating that, repetitive income. And when I'm looking, I totally changed my business this year because last year, for me, for several years, I've been like, okay, social media is a piece of the puzzle, right? We do social media for our full service clients. We do email marketing for our full service clients. We do blogs. We do SEO for their website. We did all of these things. And nobody wanted to buy into it. Everybody was like, no, we just want you for social media. And so I've completely changed how I'm showing up for people, and that now I'm just teaching you how to do it within you, because with ChatGPT, my theory is the algorithm is going to change because the content level is going to go up, because people are more used to using ChatGPT to put content out. And so therefore, it's not necessarily that you need me to create content for you. You need me to teach you how to create content that connects and how to build those connections over time. And that's a skill, that is a skill I teach teams and people that you can then have forever. And it's never going to change. In 10 years, it's going to be the same thing, because you just don't need someone to be building the content for you anymore.
Right. So here's
It's
my
just not where it
question.
is.
Take me through the journey, because I'm sure there's stuff that I'm not doing or haven't thought about. And I'm sure people listening to this episode feel the same way, because that sounds great. Okay, so I'm going to get somebody on social media. I'm going to interact with them. They're going to buy from me. Explain to me, when you are teaching this, how you communicate that. Like, what are the individual steps I need to do to put content out there, to connect with people, to build relationships, to make sales, and then to sell to that person again? Talk to
Yes.
me how you approach this.
All right. So number one, there's two marketing rules that are true no matter where you're marketing, right? The one is the rule of 7, which states that someone needs repetition in order to be able to be ready to buy from you. It's called the rule of 7 because it used to be 7 times someone needed to see something. With how engaged and crazy hectic our world is now, it's more like 11 to 12 times that someone needs to see you before they're going to follow you, before they're going to click that link in your bio, before they're going to decide to be on your New Year's or your newsletter list. And the other one is what we call the 80-20 rule. And that is 80% of your content is give and 20% is take. So we take those two rules and we apply them to how you're showing up, let's say on Instagram, since that's my favorite platform. Let's talk about that. You need to be showing up consistently so that people can see you over time and decide to follow you. And then they get enough of your content to get from those give pieces into the take pieces, meaning you're going to give them the feedback of like, you need to be growing your list, and top bloggers are using this tool. And, oh, it's so cool to do whatever thing else for bloggers. Oh, and I have MiloTree, and it's going to help you be an even better blogger, right? So you have to get people to trust you, to understand that you have a thorough knowledge of your industry and you're not going to lead them down the wrong path, because at this point, we're all very sophisticated, And so if you're just selling something, they're going to be like, I don't have any reason why you are the person I should be going through to for this. And to speak to the history of it, it takes time. You are not going to put out a post and have someone purchase from it. But you probably, I had a client who was really stressed because her content wasn't getting the reach that it used to get. She was used to going viral, at least once a month. And we met and we looked at her back end, and I noticed that she had 48 repetitive people who were always liking her content, who were always commenting on her content. So in a month, 48 people who were engaging with her. And
Could you see that in the analytics, or was it just by going post by post?
Post to post, and just kind of like seeing who these people are and gathering kind of this information, right? Like really looking at it in a whole way. And so instead of her focusing on the next piece of content and what that needed to say, she reached out to those 48 people and let them know she had this new thing for sale and she'd love to, send it over to them if they'd like a look. And she sold 12.
So she DM'd them. So she's seeing these
She DM'd
48
them.
people. Is she, before she does this and says, hey, I've got this thing that you might be interested in, is she first saying like, hey, I just wanted to check in and say, thanks for commenting?
No, because she had built relationships. She'd been doing that all along, right? She'd been putting out fantastic content that people loved. She was responding to them. They had conversations. She had a relationship with these people. And she just had forgotten to be like, oh, yeah, by the way, I have this thing that's for sale and I wanted to invite you personally because we've talked about X thing exactly. You liked the post where I was telling you about how this can change your brain. And I actually have a course on that now. So it's that history over time. And then remembering to let people know, oh, by the way, I'm in business and this is the thing I'm an expert at. And you can learn from me in this way.
Got it. So do you believe for somebody listening to this who says, oh, social media, like I tried it, it didn't work for me. It scrambles my brain. It makes me stressed. It's bad, ready. It's bad for my
Yes.
mental health.
Yes, you're my ideal client. Come on.
Talk to me.
Yeah.
Tell me, what do you say to that person and how should they start? Because the thing though,
Yes.
I remember you came on the podcast and you were like, you don't have to do that much. But then I hear, no, you do need to show up. And I'm showing up twice a day with reels. So where
Which
is that
so
line?
impressive.
Where is the line?
So impressive.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
I always say people get way too caught up in the content and they forget the engagement piece, which is why my stance is you don't have to show up every day. You really don't in order to get the engagement that you need. Now, if your goal is to have 100,000 followers and you've heard me say this before, be an influencer. Yeah, you got to show up every day, multiple times a day. You got to be making all the content and have some really slick, cool things going on. But if you are a mom blogger about your amazing garden and how to grow the best petunias, one post a week,
Really?
like can you make one post a week? We can start there and you can actually build from there if you're willing to also put in the daily engagement that is necessary on that post to
Talk to
build
me
your
about the
audience.
daily engagement. When you say
Great.
daily engagement, what does that mean? Am I
Yeah.
going and searching hashtags and going, oh, these are people I should know? Am
That's
I
part of it.
DMing them? Tell me
Yeah.
how you would approach this.
I'm going to give you the brief overview. And if you're interested on my Instagram profile, you just sign up for the Daily Fit. It's your daily Facebook, Instagram, Twitter engagement strategy. I walk you through exactly what you need to do. But there's 3 phases. So there is review, respond, and reach out. And this works for every single platform that you're on. You can do it for LinkedIn. You can do it for anything. So the first phase is review. Look at your profile and be like, where am I in the story of me? If I were just Joe Schmo from the street, what is it in the story, right? Because we all forget we're just posting content and putting stuff out. We don't really take a second to look and be like, oh, what are other people reflecting on? So just, open the page of your social media book, figure out where you are. That's review.
Where I am in response to where other people are? Is this I'm looking
Nope,
for
just you. What was the last post? Yeah, what was the last post that you put up? What was the last story you put up? Like where has it been a week, a month, a day? Like just kind of know.
Okay.
And then you're going to respond. And by responding, that is not just responding to comments. Any new followers that you have, you're going to reach out and thank them if they look like they're an ideal person. Like obviously, if they're random person from another country who is clearly trying to for me to sell jewelry. I don't know how I got in that algorithm, but that's my jam right now, right? I get a lot of people wanting me to sell their jewelry. I'm not responding to those people. I'm not following those people back. Like I'm just ignoring them and I'm deleting them actually. But if it's someone like Jillian, if you had followed me, I'd be like, yes, please. Ideal client. I'm going to reach out to you and be like, I need to know more about Milo Tree. I'm Lauren. I do social media. Like, let's talk, let's engage, So your followers, if you are seeing regularly certain people like your content again and again and again, it's totally cool to on the post that they most recently liked, being like, hey, Jillian, thank you so much for liking this post. I always love seeing you.
So wait, okay. So somebody likes my post, doesn't leave a comment.
Mm-hmm.
On that post, you would comment and tag them?
Yep.
Okay. Is that weird?
No, they know they've liked it. They know you saw that you liked it.
So you literally, because it's like, if they comment, then I want to comment back. But if they're just liking it, then that feels weird to me to be like, hey, I saw you liked this.
Now, and that's always to be in your own authenticity. So if it's weird for you, maybe you DM them and you just say, thank you so much. I know that you like my content all the time and it really means a lot.
Okay.
Like if you don't want to do it publicly, you can do it privately because this is very much I recently worked with a book coach, and it was so interesting because her audience is super introverted. And so we had to really adjust how we were looking at outreach and DMing. And we came upon this very lax thing that actually works gangbusters for them, which is really, hey, I'm here on the book coach team. If you ever have any questions, let us know. We're not going to talk to you because we're all introverts.
That's
It's
so
literally like,
funny.
right? And people were like, thanks. I don't want to talk to you either, but I love your content,
That is
like,
so funny. That is
and
so
that was
funny.
their jam. That was the authentic answer for them. And you only know that. You really have to tag into yourself and be like, okay, I feel weird about that. Why do I feel weird about it? Is it because it's new and different? Well, let's try it. No, I still feel weird about it. Okay, how could I authentically connect with this person as if I did on the street? So let's
Mm.
say you're walking down the street, right? And you see the same lady every day, and you both kind of acknowledge each other, or you haven't acknowledged each other yet. And it's 2 months now, and you're like, we always are walking at the same time. You're probably just going to wave, right?
Mhm, mhm.
That's a normal human connection thing. So let's take our normal human connections and take them into social land, right? Someone's liking all your content, just be like, hey, thanks for liking my content
Mhm. I like
in
that. I
whatever
like
way it
the
feels.
okay, so for me, I'm thinking there are a couple people that will always like my content.
Yeah.
And I will, if they comment, then I comment back. But I like the idea of DMing them, which feels, it's not as public, but it feels a little
Yeah.
personal to say, I just want you to know how much I appreciate that. And that
Yeah.
means a lot. It makes me smile every time
Yeah.
I see you
Yeah.
show up.
I'm putting a lot of effort into my 2 reels a day. And thank you.
Yeah.
Like that's it.
Yeah. Because
Yeah.
it can feel kind of lonely if you're out there just and it can be, you can get kind of paranoid, like, oh, nobody liked this one, or
Yeah.
why do people like this? Or I don't know. It's like I'm really, really trying to not get up in my head about this, to have
Yeah.
fun with it, to recognize this is just an experiment. Something about saying that to myself makes it feel low stakes. Like
Yeah.
I could, it feels a little bit like one day at a time. Like I could stop doing this tomorrow, but I'm
Yeah.
going to keep going for another day and see what
Yeah.
happens. See, like be curious.
Approach it with curiosity. And the thing is, when people say like I'm lonely, nobody ever responded, my question to them is always like, well, what was your outreach like? Because if you're lonely, I bet you anything, you weren't actually centering your ideal client, right? You weren't actually trying to speak to them. And you weren't even asking people like, hey, what would you like to see next? Like
Mm, mhm,
what's your,
mhm.
you've been following a lot of my content. Is there something about blogging that you would love to know? I'd love to do some content just for you.
You know, I am all about everybody selling their knowledge to their people. Therefore, start with an easy ebook. And to help you, I have put together 13 ChatGPT prompts. This is all you need to write your ebook start to finish. To grab this, go to milotree.com/ebook prompts. Very easy. milotree.com/ebook prompts. A ton of you have already downloaded this, and I'm starting to hear how useful this PDF is. So go get yours. And now back to the show. If people listen to my podcast, you know that I say these things that seem crazy, which is get on a call with people or DM them, but like make these human connections. And I think that as you're saying this, that's what I need to be doing on social media. Like I will do it on email, I will get on calls with people, all of this, but like I don't think I've taken it as far on Instagram, just even reaching out to the people, say, liking my content. So
Yeah.
you've given me this whole, it feels, I think because I grew up on Instagram in that old model, and especially because
Yeah.
we launched Catch My Party on Instagram, of course, and we have something like 165,000 followers on Catch My Party.
Yeah.
So that's a very
Yeah.
different business for us than
Very
Milo Tree,
different.
where I have like 2,000.
Yeah.
And we do get lots of comments on Catch My Party, but it's predominantly like, hey, I like these goodie bags. How can I get the goodie bags? It's not so much like personal. Milo
Hmm.
Tree is much more personal, like, oh, I struggle with that too. Or how do you, what's your advice on this or something? And so
Yeah.
I think though that I still have that old view of Catch My Party, and I'm not fully yet embracing it with Milo Tree. And you are always, and by the way, this is, I think, your third or fourth time on the show. And you are always like, it's a personal thing. And I think
It
that
is.
hasn't fully hit me.
Yeah. It's the success that I see from my clients is really like if we look at the numbers, right, it's small. They're booking 3 clients a year from social media. But if you think about what 3 clients a year means to a small business, when you can only service 12 clients a year, like that's huge. And this is a free marketing tool. Like to the people who are feeling reticent about starting this and don't like it, like if you need the mindset stuff, I've got it. I have a horrible story about being on social media. I figured out how to put up guardrails and make myself feel safe here. But this is free. And when we are looking at the larger picture of your business, when you're saying, like email marketing, absolutely, email marketing is there. But how are people going to learn that you have an email list? They're going to learn about it through social. They're going to Google you. The more places you can pop up, which by the way, Facebook and Instagram and Twitter and LinkedIn are paying way more money to show up on page 1 of Google than you ever will.
Yes. I
You
just was
know?
reading about that. Yes. And I think that that is true, especially for two reasons. One, as bloggers, especially, we've gotten really good at keyword research and SEO. And what I
Mhm.
am seeing, or what people are predicting, is that searches might change, especially with AI content. You're not
Yeah.
necessarily going, the traffic to individual blogs will probably decrease. I don't know how much, but if I can get that answer by typing into an AI chatbot, I might
Mhm.
not need to go to a secondary site to read a blog post. I mean, it just
And
makes sense.
this is why social is so important because it's AI can replace everything but your actual soul,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And the only way people are going to get to know you is if you start showing up authentically through one of these social platforms, like actually showing up on video, taking a photo of you at your desk, like these are things that people are going to connect with. I'm also an actor, like that's part of my story. And SAG-AFTRA just went through a very long battle about this AI, which people probably know a little bit about. But I am not at all worried that in the future I won't have a job as an actor because an AI version of an actor doesn't have a soul and it is not going to connect with people the way that an imperfect human will. It just won't. And that's the same for all of you, like when you are talking about, your blogging, yes, information is now free. It is free and people don't need to go to your blog. But I bet you anything, Jilly, they want to know how you are going to interpret it. And so they will show up for you because now we get the information everywhere, but I don't get you.
Absolutely. That you are speaking to the choir. That is
Yes.
exactly what I tell people. And that's what I'm seeing. So, like, I share this, people using my Lottery cart to grow their businesses, sell digital products. The ones making the most money have memberships, online memberships, where they are showing up live with people, because
Mhm.
that is the magic. If I can create a group of people who want to show up with me, who want to pay me monthly for a specific thing, it could be anything from crafting to parenting to social media, whatever the thing is that pulls us together, and they're drawn to my energy or what I'm teaching or the community I have built. If I can pull that off, which isn't as hard as it sounds, because it's
Mhm.
less about ready the content. And people agree, like, I need a library of materials. And I'm like, no, you don't. You just need to show up and be present, hold the space, and
Mhm.
be somebody that somebody feels connected to. And you
Yeah.
create a warm, welcoming environment. And like that, I'm shouting this from the rooftops. This is where I think the money is. Now, you need to set yourself up as an expert, as somebody who has knowledge. And that is something you do through, say, Instagram. And that's kind of like, I was thinking about it yesterday. I was thinking, because I've been doing these reels, it is like journaling. If you're a
Yeah.
journalist, in terms of like, it makes you think about your thinking about a
Mhm.
certain topic. And just what you said when I told you about the reel that I just posted about all the bloggers say the one thing they wish they had done was grow their email list. And you go, God, that's not sexy.
Yeah.
And I will tell you, I want to put the truth out there. I don't want to put the sexy lie out there.
Yeah.
I see on Instagram, and I'm sure you do too, if you're in like the marketing world on Instagram, how I made 7 figures in 3 months, how I grew my Instagram from, I just started a new account from 0 to
To
200,000.
10,000. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it is
Yeah.
crazy. And by the way, those get a lot of likes and a lot of views. And I'm like the opposite of that, meaning I hope you go viral and I hope that's the case.
Yeah.
But I want to say my messaging is go do it, test it, go like down and dirty, hack together something, make it imperfect, put yourself out there even when you don't have mascara on, like go.
Yeah.
And
Because
so,
there are filters. There
yeah,
are filters.
totally. So exactly that, but that's what I want. I want to be somebody saying Jillian speaks the truth. And
Yeah.
even if the truth is ugly or messy or complicated or whatever, I want to tell it to you. And yesterday I realized that's my message. So it was funny when you said, "Oh my God," like not in a bad way, but like this is not
Yeah.
sexy.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's great because this is real.
Yeah. And it's like, I wish that there were a magical thing that we could do, right? But when you really scale back what those plans are, when you look into them, because I've clicked on the videos,
Me
y'all, I've been
too.
like, I would love 10,000 followers tomorrow. That would be fantastic. There's a lot of money spent and a lot of time spent gathering those 10,000 followers that actually aren't going to benefit your audience. I had a client who blatantly refused. I had all their numbers and I was like, okay, so like last November, it looks like you purchased around 100,000 followers. So I just want to know that that's the truth so we can clean this up for you. And they're like, no, we didn't purchase 1,000 followers. No, we didn't purchase 100,000. I was like, okay, so here where I see a big spike and a whole bunch of people from India starting to follow you when your business is on the West Coast in a tiny little mountain town, and none of those people can actually come to your event, you're telling me that you didn't purchase those people? Oh, no, we didn't. Okay, cool. I can't work with you, right? Because I can't help you. None of those people are going to come to your event. It is a live event in a tiny little mountain town, and you want those people to come here. And they were more interested in the vanity of the situation than in building actual money for their account,
I'm
right?
so glad you shared that because that's the thing. And I think as we move into this world with AI, as you're saying, like fake videos, which is becoming a thing, and fake everything, and you can just have ChatGPT do whatever. I feel like the scarce good is not, as I said, it's not information, it's not content, it's trustworthiness.
Yeah.
So I want to be
And
the unsexy, trustworthy person that you can know. I am going to tell you if you have spinach in your teeth. I am
yes.
that friend, by the way.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
even if it's awkward and even if you're like then embarrassed and then I'm embarrassed or whatever,
Yeah.
even if I'm not like your super close friend, I might just go like, hey, you got a little spinach in your teeth. Because I know you would want to know that.
Yeah. Because how awful is it to go home and look at yourself and be like,
Oh my God.
nobody likes me enough to tell me I had spinach in my teeth.
Totally. Absolutely. So I wanted to break down some of the different platforms. One thing I'm hearing is people have been reinvesting in Facebook and getting traffic.
We saw this, I think it was November of 2022 that we started to see a change. So a lot of our clients were like, we're not on Facebook anymore. We're not going to pay attention to it.
It's like old
I always,
fogies.
yeah, we're not getting any action. And it's because the algorithm had changed to the point where it was pay to play. That was the only way your content was going to be seen from a page standpoint. So we got it. Now, hot tip, if you're going to leave an account, or if you have an account somewhere, like let's say you're on LinkedIn, but you're just not there very often, create a post that says something like, hey, I'm Lauren. I'm not on LinkedIn very much. You can go find me on Instagram, and then include your link to the platform you are on and just pin that to the top. Almost every platform, Facebook, Twitter, whatever, you can pin a comment. And that way you're not losing traffic or people don't think you're out of business. Okay, back to the question of Facebook. So we saw we've always like done one post a month just to keep things active for people who've decided to leave from a platform. And without changing anything about that one post a month situation, we saw new followers and we saw more engagement with literally nothing else changing. It's not like the content got better overnight. We just started to see a resurgence on Facebook. Now, I haven't had a client return to Facebook yet, so we haven't been able to really play with those numbers and really get into it, but absolutely, Facebook is having a comeback. And it's because we've been talking about this community thing. There is no platform that can build community in the way that Facebook can, right? Like on Instagram, they yet to have figured out how we can have a closed room where you and I can talk to each other, Jillian, without having to bring the entire group in on our conversation about the, like lamps. We're in a group for lamps and we're passionate about lamps and we're all talking about lamps. And then you and I can have a conversation about lamps that not everybody has to jump in on right there. Right?
Now,
Like
wait,
I can
is
talk
this
to you
like
on
in a
Instagram,
Facebook group? Is this on
in a Facebook group.
So
Yeah.
I'm in a Facebook group and we can have an offline conversation.
Well,
And
like if we're in a post, yeah, we can go back and forth, right? And not everybody's being bothered by our conversation. Not everybody has to chime in on the conversation. That's the only thing Facebook has. And we've all come through this pandemic. We've all come through these weird years, and community is what we're craving. And so there is yet to be a platform that has mastered community in the way Facebook has.
now, what is this new thing on Insta? I totally like, I want to make sure that we close the circle on Facebook because
Great.
that is something that I feel is interesting. So you're saying Facebook groups are not dead?
No.
Okay.
And in fact, I wish like many of us, right? I wish they were. They're in some Facebook groups that I'm like, is there anywhere else we could go? No, there's nowhere else we can go. In fact, I belonged to a business coaching group and we went off Facebook as a group, however many members, 100, whatever members, hated it, reopened the Facebook group.
Okay. I need to go back then to Facebook to talk about this. So
Okay.
I'm sitting here telling you, where's the money in digital products, like the money, right?
Yeah.
The recurring revenue. And I'm saying memberships.
Yes.
And when I tell people what it takes to put together a membership, I go, here's what you need. MyLoTree cart for recurring payments, right? We will charge the credit card. You can cancel the whole, like it's just so seamless.
You do make it very simple.
Thank you. Two, Zoom, right? Zoom, because you're going to do like your Zoom sessions and everybody, even my mom, knows how to get on a Zoom call.
Mm-hmm.
3, you need email like ConvertKit or MailChimp or something where you can email the people because email matters. Remember this? People
Yes.
do open their email once a
Yes.
month and you say, hey, here's what we're going to do. We're going to meet the first Wednesday and the third Wednesday of the month. Here's what we're going to talk about. Here are the links to the Zoom. And then I say this, and a private Facebook group, and people cringe and they go, what? No, I don't want to be doing that. I don't like Facebook. And I go, it doesn't matter if you don't like Facebook because everybody knows Facebook. And so again, do you want people to have to download some random app on their phone that they've never heard of to have community? Are you going to then try to teach people how to get into this kind of place of community? And by the way, all you're going to do in the Facebook group, upload the Zoom videos, ask a question or two, and have a place where people can talk to each other and maybe ask you some questions. It's just for like a way to kind of house everybody. The people who hate Facebook don't have to be in the group because you're going to email them the link to the Zoom afterwards if they couldn't be. So it's not like they have to be on Facebook, but it's a repository. It's like a place to hold the group. And chances are most of your members will have been on Facebook, understand how the platform works, and it's an easy ask.
Yes. 1,000 times yes. We all look, we're all constantly searching for a way to replace Facebook. We are. Nobody has done it yet. If someone can create a social platform that builds community in the way that Facebook has figured out to build community, fantastic. I will be all on board. But until then, We're all on Facebook, y'all, and I don't know if it will ever change
That's so
because
interesting.
it's so easy and it's so a part
That's
of
it.
our, like it's just like Zoom now has become like, oh, it's a Zoom.
Yeah, like so,
Facebook.
like Google Meet. Sometimes I'll have like a business call on Google
Yeah.
Meet, and I hate it. I'm like, why are
Yeah.
you not on Zoom? Now, this is Google, and maybe there are lots of people on Google Meet, but to be honest with you, I'm always like, I don't know how to share my screen on Google Meet, or I don't know. Whereas Zoom, I got it. And
Yeah.
that's like where I say, go where people go, use
Yeah.
tools people know. And that
And
is,
yes, it's the unsexy answer, but
it's,
let's go with the
yes,
unsexy answer. Okay. Like, let's just
totally.
do it.
Exactly. And that's again, like when I think about the messaging that I want to be putting out there, it's like go use tools people know. Don't, even if there's a better quote unquote community app that you have found that you think is
Mhm.
awesome, it's like herding cats. You really want to make all of your members learn this, know that what if they don't like it? So
Yeah.
anyway, it's just interesting that you say this about
Yeah.
Facebook because
Yeah.
this is a resurgence that I'm starting to see. But
Yeah.
what is this?
Absolutely.
Oh, go ahead.
No, what were you going to ask?
What is this new thing that I got invited on Instagram to somebody's like community or something?
Oh,
What
yes.
is this?
This is Instagram trying to replace Facebook, basically. Um, I don't use them yet. I don't have anybody that has a need for that. Now it becomes kind of like a text string, basically. Like if you're in someone's community, it's like in your DMs, and it's a text string that happens where they message and then other people can respond to that comment, and there's like a whole bunch of stuff going on with it. Um, I have obviously they're working. There's a few people that I follow who have these set up, and I see that it's happening. My Instagram boyfriend Adam Mazzari has one. I'm in his community. But it's kind of annoying and it's a little overwhelming because there's just so much that goes on with it. And so it's to me, it is not that replacement. If you have a large following and you want to be putting out messages that people get and are made sure to pay attention to, it's great. If you have less than 10,000 followers, you don't need to worry about this yet.
Got it. I joined one with like an influencer just so
Yeah.
I could watch, like, what is
Yeah.
this? What is she doing? Why is this necessary? And it's interesting because it's a lot of like, you got this, girl. It's Monday. You go.
Oh,
And then it becomes though, hey, like kind of your thing of like give, and then
take.
take.
Yeah.
And so it's a little bit like, hey, I've just opened my coaching group. Here's the link. So I get it. She's trying to cultivate this relationship
Yeah.
with a lot of like, you got this. And then, hey, you want more from me. Here's how. So I'm just kind of paying attention and seeing
Yeah.
what that's about.
Yeah. And we'll see how it grows. It's things like this are exciting to me. And that's why Threads is
Oh
also
yeah, let's
exciting. So
talk briefly about
yeah,
Threads, and I want to touch on TikTok and what your thoughts are on that. So Threads, let's
great.
talk Threads.
So Threads, we all got very excited about Threads and it came out and it made a splash because it was the biggest, launch of a social network ever, which by the way is kind of a lie because we all already had it. So it was also the easiest, like Twitter didn't already have all your information and you just had to click a button and say yes, you had to go in and populate. So anyway, Threads is there, big splash. People are still dabbling in Threads, but here is what we want to know. Instagram is desperate for Threads to work. They really, really want this thing to work. So much so that they have created a special line at the very top of your inbox when you go into Instagram with a special color with someone's name when they say, so and so just posted a new thread. That is the first message I get very frequently when I open my inbox on Instagram. Also, I get notifications when someone that I've followed or that I've responded to on Threads, I get those notifications in Instagram. So if you want to be an extra savvy marketer, you're going to start using Threads because it's going to, remember when we talked about those 7 touches? It's going to give another touch. Even if nobody is then clicking over to your Threads to see what you said, they're going to see your name at the top of your inbox and remember, oh yeah, I like Jillian,
Is there a way to share a reel on Threads?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Do I-
believe you can actually like Instagram has also made it very easy to cross-populate the content. I don't think it shows up. I think it shows up like as an attachment sub so there's like the thread and then the video is underneath, but you can share it over to threads.
Okay.
Like sharing Instagram to Facebook, it's still not the perfect answer because, by the way, y'all, if you don't know, Instagram and Facebook are the same,
Same
right? They're
company.
owned by the same people. When you share Instagram to Facebook, people who see that on Facebook are like, oh, they're not really on Facebook because we all know, oh, that's an Instagram post that's been put on Facebook. So when you're sharing your Instagram comment to threads, instead of sharing the reel, I bet you if you just took the text and said, here's the number one thing most bloggers tell me, and then in the next comment, you go, build your email list, that would be way more effective than sharing the actual reel because it's a text-based platform, not a video-based platform.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, that's interesting because again, I'm trying to build my mojo on Instagram. And
You are
so,
building it.
oh,
You are
thank you.
absolutely
Thank
building
you.
it. Yeah.
Thank you. So now let's talk about TikTok. What are your
Okay.
thoughts about it? Because I initially tried to start TikTok. This was like during the pandemic, and then would download my TikToks, take off the watermark, and then share them to Instagram. Now
Yep.
I've decided I'm just right now doing Reels. And I know I should be downloading my Reels and sharing them to TikTok and sharing them to YouTube Shorts. And I'm not
We're
there
going to
yet.
remove should, right?
Okay,
That
okay.
is an option that you
I like
can
that. I
do.
like that.
Yeah. So TikTok, it really depends on your audience. Now, we all know that TikTok is super searchable. It's one of the largest growing platforms. It is a different kind of format. The thing that TikTok really figured out was that we have no focus anymore as a society. And so the way they've built videos is to really lean into that very short attention span that we all have. So a reel often is different than a TikTok video because your reels are a little bit more languishing. There's a different feel to the content that comes through Instagram. If you are dealing with anyone under the age of 30, TikTok's a fantastic place for you to be. If you want to build on the searchability that that platform has, which is second to none, like TikTok and Pinterest actually are a couple of my favorite platforms because they are so open about how their back end works. TikTok actually, when you create a business account, you get this whole platform on the back end that allows you to search terms and see how many people are clicking on certain things in this easy way versus in Instagram, you have to click the little magnifying glass and type in a little thing and scroll. Like it's very hard to find information on Instagram. And TikTok is like, look, here's all of the info. Here's how to be found. So they're a great platform. To me, I think that you need to master one social platform before you start adding on others, because again, engagement is key. The content is only going to get you 50% of the way there. So if you have mastered Instagram and now you're like, okay, I want to play on TikTok, and you have the time and energy to then do the engagement on that platform as well, yes. But yeah, TikTok's not going anywhere, and it's going to be really interesting, especially now that the kerfluffle about, the where our data is stored as Americans and all of that stuff and
Yeah.
how their algorithm works is kind of calmed down, and people have moved past it.
Okay,
So
because that
yeah.
also is my concern. Like, is TikTok going away? Is this something that I don't want to invest in? And true, like, are they stealing my data?
Well, yeah, they're
Okay,
like,
okay,
y'all, if you're not paying for the product, you are the product.
exactly.
We're all the product on all of these platforms. But that's the world we live in. Like
Right,
Instagram, when I click on dog videos, they know that like I want dog stuff, and they figured out how to keep me on the platform so that they can, then try and sell me dog stuff. Great. I'm here for it. It helps, it makes my life better because I don't have
right,
to go search for the perfect running belt to go with my dog. Like
right,
Instagram's going to bring it to me. In fact, now that
right.
I've said it, it's probably going to show up. But TikTok, it is concerning. There are, I watched the debates. There's some concerns about how our data is processing and the ability for people to, in TikTok, it's different than the other platforms. There are literally people who are changing the algorithm. So the information that we see is based on what they want us to see, not on what our natural search base is. And they've found, like we all sink to the bottom, the nastier, less truth-driven stuff, the things that's really sensational, that stuff is what's shared more. So
Right.
that's why it's such a scary platform, because it's not, it really, misinformation breeds very fast on that platform.
Right.
So
It's
it
like a
is,
house of mirrors versus
yes,
like I'm seeing something like I like dogs and they're going to give me dogs. It's like, well, they're going to give me dogs and it's going to all of a sudden morph into something kind of dark.
yes,
So
very
I get
quickly.
that. I
Yeah,
get that.
yeah.
Well,
But
go ahead.
powerful, great platform. I'm not saying don't use it. Grain of salt. That's it.
I get that. I get that. All right, Lauren, this has been
Yes.
so enlightening. If
Good.
people have questions for you, if people want to see what you do, where is the best place for them to reach out?
Oh, this is so exciting. So I practice what I preach in that I am only on Instagram, but I recently opened a second Instagram account, y'all. It's shocking. So now I have one for my business and one for my personal. And my business one, you can find me at Get Social Happy. So if you want more information around Instagram, around social media in general, around how to actually make money on platforms, follow me on Instagram at Get Social Happy. And I talked about the engagement strategy. You can find that in the link in my bio there too. You can go up and sign. It's a free series of 5 videos. It'll walk you through how to do engagement on these different platforms.
Well, I just have to say, I'm going to invite you back because I feel like as things keep changing and as I'm going through my own journey, like selfishly, I want to
Yeah.
check in with you to go, am I doing it right? Or do you have any tips? That kind of thing. So
Yes.
we will definitely do this again. So I just want to
Jillian,
say,
you are my friend.
you are my friend. Thank you so much for coming back on the show.
You're so welcome. Happy to be here anytime.
I hope you guys like this episode. What I really like about Lauren is her vibe. I talk about people's vibes a lot, but that she's all about showing up authentically, showing up as who you are, and especially as a way to fight against AI content. How do you create content that connects human to human? I think that is a very powerful message. I will definitely be having her back on the show to update us on new trends in a couple of months. Now, for those of you who want to be selling products and services to your audience, but God, that seems so complicated and the tech seems so confusing, get on a free 20-minute Zoom call with me because one, I will help you come up with your digital product strategy. And two, I will show you how magical MiloTree Cart is, especially with our AI sales pages. One thing people say to me is, oh my God, I didn't know I could be up and selling so fast. This is so easy. To get on a call with me, just go to milotree.com and on our homepage, you'll see a place where you can book a 20-minute free Zoom call. I promise, no pressure. This is really just to help you and to see if MiloTree Cart is a good fit. Again, go to milotree.com. Right on our homepage, you can see where you can book a time. And I look forward to meeting you. And I will see you here again next week.